In the next few days, we have a very, very important meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, it is one of the most significant diplomatic meetings of this century. And the reason why we are saying that is, while the world has been looking very, very closely at the Donald Trump-Vladimir Putin summit in Alaska, something is changing in the Asian subcontinent. And Prime Minister Modi, in a few days, will be meeting Xi Jinping of China on the sidelines of the SCO summit. And it is the first time that our Prime Minister will be visiting China after 7 years. He's going to be there, and it's going to be a reset in the India-China ties. And I have with me today on republicworld.com, I have Andrew K.P. Leung, who's the chairman of Andrew Leung International Consultants, founded in London. He's now based in Hong Kong. He travels between Hong Kong and London. He's a prominent international and independent China specialist. So most often, ladies and gentlemen, let me also put this disclaimer, when Andrew K.P. Leung comes on Republic in the last 6 to 7 years, we've had a confrontational conversation, if I can say that, with Andrew, because that's how the India-China relationship has been, Andrew. From Doklam, Galwan, the international face-offs. But I think everybody is now looking forward to a new chapter, isn't it?
Yes. Well, it's just because the whole world, the international rule-based order founded by the United States after the end of the Second World War, where the United States power influenced technology, finance, economy, actually, and also following value-based, rule-based order, has been benefiting the entire world. Now, this order has been totally torn asunder by Trump's unilateral American first bullying and coercion, not only against its perceived greatest existential threat, which is China, as a rising global power, but also against its allies, including, of course, India, but also the transatlantic relationship with European Union, and indeed all countries around the world, and even small countries in the global south, which have very little power or capacity to withstand this coercion. So the whole world has been upended, and the supply chains are highly disrupted because the whole world is now depending the international trade depends on interchange of products and services and components. Each country has got its own specialty. Well, that's Adam Smith's comparative advantage, and that also has been cast aside in favor of American coercion. So I think that the whole world's now clamoring for a more stable force to restore some sort of an order in international trade, finance, investments, and cooperation to cope with other global challenges like climate change and also pandemics, terrorism, various other things. Now, of course, China and India have many decades of conflict, and not least, of course, is the border disputes. Both countries, in fact, is a legacy from history. The border was, at the moment, drawn almost at the time of British India, and that divided a number of countries, and the borders was a lot of the territorial claims on both sides. Yes, this is likely to continue. It's unlikely to be resolved anytime soon. But I think that in the bigger picture, both countries are setting this aside, agreeing to disagree, and also trying to seek a kind of mechanism to stabilize relationship between the two countries. Both are in the global south. Both are facing tremendous development challenges, particularly in this disrupted world order. So seeking areas of cooperation But I think that India is, of course, in this seeking this relationship, new relationship with China, a new relationship, a more nuanced relationship with the United States, and of course, because India is the world's largest economy, and by ideology and by values, is more akin to America. Is the world's most powerful democracy. So I think that it's not to cast asunder this close relationship with the United States, but also seeking to recalibrate relationship with its rival, with its competitor, and with its neighbor, largest countries along this border with China. So in that sense, I think Prime Minister Modi is walking a tightrope. In other words, not to form any firm bloc with China or with any other countries or with Russia for that matter, but also trying to seek areas of cooperation and coordinate each other's responses to certain global challenges.
Now, you've been a commentator on India-China affairs for a long time, and you know the opportunities that that are open for both countries to grab, right? Now, what are these opportunities in your view for both countries, for India and China? How can we utilize each other?
I think, first of all, we need to scale down the kind of confrontational sentiments, not to forget about the differences on border and on various other issues, but to set them aside for the time being and work on areas, possible areas of cooperation and mutual understanding. Now, mutual understanding is very important because both countries have a long history. I mean, if we walk back, say, several hundred or even thousands of years ago, I think both India and China are the largest world nations at that time. That was before the Middle Ages in Europe, before United States even existed. And then both China and India were the largest countries in the world, the largest, longest civilization. And of course, that there was a cross-fertilization of civilization. China imported Buddhism from India. I mean, there was, when I was small, I learned about this history of the Chinese monk traveling thousands of miles across the Western China to import Buddhism from India to China. And of course, there is also trade between the two countries. So I think that we should look at the relationship in the longer term, tracing it back to the past and trying to promote understanding between the two peoples. And hence, it's important to restore direct flights, to ease visa restrictions, to facilitate people-to-people exchanges. That's the low-hanging fruit, as it were, to normalize relations, to promote mutual understanding. Secondly, it's more down to earth, is to welcome, is to seek suitable, and I stress the word suitable because, of course, there are security concerns in both countries. China's investment, particularly in manufacturing, in China's dominant sector, electric vehicle, car batteries, the kind of manufacturing processes, and of course facilitate the flow of very heavy industrial equipment from China. For example, tunnel drilling equipment. China, of course, now sits on top of the world's manufacturing chain, particularly in very large tunnel equipment, which could help India to improve its infrastructure. So I think identifying various key sectors whereby China's investment and indeed technology would be welcome to grow the make in India kind of capacities. And thirdly, promoting Indian export to China. Now, of course, China is producing almost everything under the sun. But what India can export to China is, of course, India's agricultural products and also Indian cuisine, even. I mean, I know that a lot of Chinese are very familiar with Indian cuisine. I myself am accepted because I live in London for 10 years. So it's great opportunities for Indian restaurants and Indian hotels and chefs, small businesses to enter the China market, and also looking for other products and special technology products, perhaps. Again, promoting exchanges between the universities on both sides. The Indian universities are, of course, some are rising in kind of technology, research, and also seeking possibly operations on even space research. Now, China, of course, was excluded from the American-led International Space Station right from the very start many years ago. Russia was included, but China was deliberately excluded. But China has now succeeded in building its own space station, the Tiangong, right start from scratch. It's operating very successfully. And of course, the first country on Earth that can bring back the soil samples from the backside of the moon. So I think that is an example on self-reliance, and I think India has a long history of self-reliance. And again, in this disrupted world, self-reliance is very important because with self-reliance, with self-developed capabilities, you can withstand any kind of bullying. Withstanding bullying from the world's largest power, military power, financial power, does not depend on narratives. You spin a story that you could stand up on yourself, but what kind of strength you have to withstand this bullying? And in China, it's very rare amongst the rest of the world to be able to do that because China has found a unique stranglehold on Americans' Achilles heel, which is China's rare earth. And China, of course, did not develop that because China did not know that America would behave this way. But fortunately or unfortunately, China absorbed all these production of rare earth elements because they're very dirty. Nobody wants them. They're dumped into China. And for decades, China has been developing all these capabilities to produce rare earth elements. And then they're very complicated, depending on each product is different. All processes, then it's not just one or two processes, hundreds of different processes depending on each kind of product. But these products are found is used into electric cars, into mobile phones, and also into the military. Even F-35 jet fighter requires all these elements. So that's the stranglehold. That's why President Trump is now going easy on China.
I wanted to actually make that point because, they've gone easy on China. And, yesterday I think I heard a comment of Donald Trump saying, it's okay, we want Chinese students here in American universities, otherwise the universities would shut down. I mean, it's such warped logic because in the same breath, just yesterday, one of his advisors also went on another interview and said that H-1B visa policy needs to be changed. So they're specifically targeting Indians, going soft on China. Of course, they know that their reliance/dependence on China is a lot, right? Now, my question to you is, Andrew, see, there is a new start, which we hope will come out of the SCO summit when the Prime Minister visits Tianjin. But there will be that elephant in the room, and that elephant in the room is Pakistan and how China looks at Pakistan. See, we do know, and even our military commanders have gone on record, Andrew, to say that China gives some sort of tactical support to Pakistan in Operation Sindoor when we had a face-off with them, most recently in May, right? So how do you see China balancing this Pakistan aspect? Because you see, very interestingly, Pakistan Army Chief, who's the de facto head of the country today, who represents Pakistan when he meets Trump or any other world leader, he's in America's corner, right? He's clearly in America's corner. How do you see China dealing with this situation to ensure the ties with India, if they are to be balanced and looking ahead, goes ahead?
Pakistan is a very complicated neighbor for China. Of course, China and Pakistan have been great partners for a long, long time. Well before this, for over decades. And I think this complication comes because of the Muslim community, and they're associated with the Muslim kind of independence movement, the Eastern Turkestan kind of movement in Central Asia or in other Asian neighbors, and they are related to the independence movement in Xinjiang province. So that's one complication. The other complication, of course, is because of the kind of wars destabilizing the region, with Afghanistan and so on. And Pakistan had a hand in it. What China wants is as a peaceful neighborhood, so as to grow this economy and to make it easier for China's Belt and Road Initiative, which cross all these countries. The third, and not last but not least, complication, of course, is the relationship with India. And they're always at loggerheads, again, because of historical reasons, because of the differences in ideology or economic interests and territorial interests. And China, all China wants is a peaceful neighborhood. But of course, China is unlikely to make an enemy to Pakistan, nor, for that matter, China wants to make an enemy of the United States, for that matter. But China's relationship with Pakistan has been long-standing, as I said, to the extent that, for example, Pakistan has bought China's military hardware, including its advanced jet fighters, and also relying on China's highly developed telecommunication system, which can detect with radar long distance, at a long distance. So in this Operation Sendhu, and Pakistan was able to use China's military hardware and inflict casualties on
Yeah,
India.
but we shot
But
them
that's
down.
not,
Andrew, we
yeah.
shot them
But
down.
that,
We shot down
yeah.
Chinese radars. Andrew.
Yeah, okay. But then, of course, there were casualties on both sides. But this also speaks to the situation. It's not that China had a hand in Operation Sendhu. It's because of the relationship of the long-established relationship between Pakistan and China, including their buying and using China's advanced jets. So, and also telecommunication systems. So look at it that way. All China wants is, of course, is a peaceful neighborhood that applies for India, that applies to Pakistan as well. And um, I think the biggest danger in modern day international relations is that there is a black and white thing. The black and white mindset, the kind of Cold War, either you or me kind of blocks, is out of date. And now there's no longer, I mean, you talk about friends. And then Trump, American, the United States has been presiding over the rule-based order for several decades. Now it's proving to be not that reliable anyway.
Yeah.
So not that that you need to, of course you need to form friendship, but friendship cannot last forever. I think that there is a famous saying in international relations. There is no such thing as a permanent friendship. It's all, anything is permanent. What is permanent is interests. And the national interest, of course, varies from time to time. And looking at that from that angle is very important to maintain kind of a balance and a cold-eyed relationship.
Yeah.
And then not that you're friends all the time, because obviously there is areas of competition and rivalry or differences. But
Yeah.
sometimes you can set this aside and look for areas for positive outcomes on both sides.
Very interesting conversation with you, Andrew. I don't know what's going to come out of this SCO meeting, but I know that the thinking in India is that, the whole world is looking at how India is staring back at the US. It's a global case study. You see how Europe has succumbed to America, and it's India which is standing up. And we know that there's support from China. There was a statement recently where China even slammed the tariffs imposed on India. It's a new start. Let's see where this goes. Andrew, good conversation with you. Look forward to talking again. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you.